morning, ladies and gentlemen, and wildlife lovers around the world, and welcome to Safari Live. For those of you who don't know, my name is Jamie, and I have VM, the wildebeest, on camera with me this morning. And as you can see, we have started off really wonderfully with a couple of lady giraffe who are making their way down and having a quick breakfast snack. In the meantime, James and Jandre are off exploring the eastern side of the reserve to see what they can see. VM and I are on our way to Arathusa to see if we can catch up with Karula and poor exhausted Tingana, the two leopards who were seen mating yesterday afternoon. Now, if you're joining us for the first time, this is a live safari, so everything that you're seeing on your screen is happening right here in real time on Djuma and Arathusa game reserves within the Sabi Sands. Now, I'm told by Tara and Jerry in FC that the temperature this morning is 17 degrees Celsius, which is 62 degrees Fahrenheit. Personally, I'm not sure I believe them. It is definitely warmer than that. I'm sweating and it's not even 6 o'clock in the morning. Definitely a really, really humid day. It's got a very close, moist smell to the air. And I'm hoping that at some point this heat wave is going to break and it's going to bring us a little bit of rain. Right, without further ado, I'm going to reposition so we can get a little bit of a better view of the giraffe. And while I do that, for any new viewers, just remember that not only are we a live safari, but we're also interactive. Let's see if I can get the two at the back as well. Which means that if you're seeing something that interests you and you want to know more, you can send us your questions or comments. And you can do that on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can email through to questions@WildEarthTV and stick with us because we've got 3 hours of wonderful live wildlife viewing, which means, of course, that the animals don't always stay exactly where you want them to. We might have to say goodbye to our ladies, who are moving off into a very thick guarri thicket. Amazing how an animal that is so tall and so large can disappear off behind the leaves. Right, as I said, I'm on my way to Arathusa, and I know that Heidi and Pretty Nightmare and Christy, you all heard reports, or you reported to us, that you heard lion audio at the Arathusa Dam camera. And Eddie, Abby, you said that you saw 2 lions there, and we'll definitely be following up on that as well. My plan of action is to start nice and early, first thing in the morning, and go and see if we can track down those leopards first, and then we'll listen to any of the other reports from the guides and see if they can tell us where those lions have gone and which lions they are. Bye-bye, giraffe. You seem to have completely disappeared. And it is a truly glorious morning, but definitely promises some scorching weather on the way. Just look at that sunrise and those clouds. As I said, we're heading off to poor old Tingana. And the reason that I'm saying that about a mating leopard is because I actually cannot believe that another female is drawing his attention in. It's Karula this time, or this again. He has definitely had an exhausting few weeks. And I guess that's what comes of being the successful male leopard in an area. I'm not sure where the Anderson male is, the other computer male, but he's obviously off further into the west, leaving Tingana to respond to the attentions of all of the ladies. But I'm hoping because of their activities, they're not going to have moved too far from Red Dam. There's also a bit of a breeze to the air. It brings a bit of light relief. Dodge dung beetles. I'm just checking the western edge of Djuma just in case they decided to cross through and come and join us on this side. So something that's very interesting to watch with these mating leopards, and we've seen it with all of them over the last few weeks, is the way that the females simply accompany the male wherever he wants to go, even if it means going very far outside their territorial boundaries. Now, typically Arathusa is not really part of Karula's domain. She's more based around Djuma and Buffelshoek in that area. But obviously she's quite willing to follow her man for this time. I'm not sure how long they have been mating for. I'm hoping that they're still sort of smack bang in the middle of it, which means we have another few days with them. We just have to find them. Have been through here. I'm just coming up to one of my favorite clearings on this reserve, which is Impala Plains. A snake eagle sitting on the top of that tree. We're only going to get him in silhouette. Here he goes. Definitely a brown snake eagle. See the clear legs free from fur. Oh, not fur, feathers. Oh, disappearing off into the sun. And the reason that I knew just as we went past that quickly that it was a brown snake eagle is that very erect posture that they have. They sit up very straight. It's something that you don't see in a lot of the other raptor species. It's that, and then the buzzard posture, which is slightly tilted forward. Jiggers acquired a sort of a loose piece of rubber around the footwell. So if at some point I go to accelerate and suddenly jerk to a halt, it's because my foot got stuck in the rubber flap, which has happened to me twice this morning already. I mentioned earlier that Eddie Abbey saw lions at the Arathusa Dam camera, and Diane and Lynn have both confirmed that they were watching the two lionesses, as yet unknown as to who they were, but the two lionesses that they saw sleeping there for most of the night before heading off south towards the lodge at around 2 a.m. So they've got about 4 hours head start on us. The nice thing is that if they are around the lodge, most of the guides will be leaving from that position. So they should pick up on them. Yesterday afternoon we had the Djuma Pride on the Buffelshoek boundary, and it's something that you will see us do fairly regularly in the evenings, especially with lion prides and leopards. We'll use the spotlight to try and find them, and we catch that reflective layer that's at the back of their eyes. And Leslie, who's watching all the way in California, good morning and welcome to the Sunrise Safari. You were wondering if amber eyes, so there's one lioness in the Djuma Pride with very, very amber, orange coloured eyes. You were wondering if her eyes shine differently in the spotlight. And the answer is no, just because it is dependent more on the layer at the back rather than the colour of the eye. So you'll get differences in colour and reflection, but that's to do with the type of animal and the type of whether or not it's a diurnal or a nocturnal animal. So for the most part, the herbivores shine a sort of a green colour, and then for the predators and for the nocturnal animals, they shine almost like a hazard sticker or a hazard suit. They've just got that extra bright layer because they are adapted to being nocturnal. The one exception to that, there's two actually that I can think of, although it does sometimes depend on the angle that you get them at. But bush babies shine up an almost red colour, and I'm not sure if that's to do with the fact that they probably have better colour vision than most of the other animals out here. Nightjars as well also look red at times. Okay, sneaky leopards. Where have you gone? Whilst I continue on my search for these leopards and where they've disappeared off to, we've chatted a lot about lions, and I think that James would like to chat to you some more. So let's head across to him and see how his morning's going, and I'll be back with you a little bit later.
Good morning everybody, and welcome, well, you've been welcomed of course, this is your secondary welcome, this time to the recalcitrant old bag that is Wendy, a little car that has been behaving over the last 2 days, which is excellent news. My name is James. On camera today we have Jeandre. Jeandre is looking very disappointed of course because he planned a beautiful tracking shot of the clouds here, and as you came live, a bushel got in the way of his picture, so he's now in a sulk. Never mind, I'm sure that he will cheer up during the course of the morning. It's wonderful to have you with us, and we've come to the eastern side of Djuma, hoping to find or follow up on tracks of the Djuma Pride. Now, unfortunately, we did find the tracks, that is fortunate, but unfortunately they've crossed further east into, well, sort of between Torchwood and Buffelshoek, and they're heading towards the Kruger National Park. And they've been spending quite a lot of time there of late, I think trying to avoid the Birmingham boys. But the Birmingham boys are conspicuous by their absence, and so I still think that there's going to be some interesting lion stuff going on here in terms of the males. Perhaps we will have the Salati males coming down south from the Manyeleti. Perhaps some Matimbas will make a return, or I think that's unlikely. Perhaps Junior will set himself up here. Apparently, I'm very sad I didn't see him. Apparently he's looking very healthy and strong. I think he's quite a big lion. I think he's going to be a big lion, bigger than those Birmingham boys. And I think that's because his father, one of the Matimbas, is a very large fellow indeed. I keep looking down just to check the road for tracks. The other reason we've come into this area is hopefully to find a Mvula, the spirit leopard. He does seem to disappear into that block. The block that Brent was tracking him in yesterday is something of a Bermuda Triangle. So I don't want to pin my hopes on it, but certainly we do hope to have sight of Mvula later today. Now, as I'm sure Jamie told you, this is a live safari. You are welcome and encouraged indeed to talk to us, #Safari Live, or questions at wildlife. No, not wildlife. Questions at WildEarthTV. It's early morning. And tell us, give us your comments, ask us your questions, anything you like, well, within reason, of course, and we will do our level best to answer them. as for now, we're just going to continue slowly down this cut line, the cheetah cut line, and we probably won't stop moving at all. And the reason we're not going to stop moving is that it remains probably about, I'd say, 27, 28 degrees centigrade. Now that for the early morning is very hot. That's about 82 degrees Fahrenheit, which is extremely hot for this time of the morning. I mean, it's barely 6 o'clock, and it's quite sticky. It's quite humid, and we spent a night with fans on our bodies because it was really pretty hot the whole night. But I think this cloud is going to clear, and I think it's going to be another scorcher today. Predicted 38 degrees Celsius, which is about 5 million Fahrenheit. Also a little bit of rain predicted for 11 o'clock this morning. I'm not sure where that rain's going to come from, unless it's going to fall straight out of the blue heavens, which I think is unlikely, given what we know about weather patterns. Okay, now for me waffling on in my fancy driving position, let's move a little bit faster. We're going to Buffelshoek Dam to see if anything's come down there, and then we'll make a plan from there. We'll keep checking the road for tracks, of course, very important. And as I said, I have said a few times, in fact, Andre pointed this out to me before he went on leave. He won't remember doing it, but he did. He said, isn't it more difficult to track after the rain? And I said, no, it's easier because the road's softer. But absolutely, as soon as the sun hits the rain, it creates a crust over the top of the road, and then it does definitely become much harder to track because we just don't see the impressions of the animals in the road. We did see impressions of those lions heading east, unfortunately, and I think that was from pretty early last night. You know, you watched them with Brent for a while moving east. They came back out onto the road here, out of Buffelshoek onto the Buffelshoek cut line, and they just continued going into the rising moon. Now, comments on Brent and comparisons, Junior in comparisons with Brent. Donna Wan, you say that Junior's looking more suave than Brent these days. I have used many adjectives to describe Brent Leo Smith over the years. Suave, I'm not sure, is one of them. He's a bit, suave implies some kind of a lack of authenticity, I feel, some kind of attempt to put on a kind of refinement that isn't really there, and I don't feel that Brent does that at all. Certainly a very fine specimen is Brent, and but he's a rather authentic fellow, so I think maybe suave is the wrong way to describe him. But yes, I can see the kind of comparison. Good one, Donna. It is really quite warm. I'm very glad we won't be taking a midday game drive today. Sitting at my desk with my arms stuck to it from the sweat. What a lovely thought. We have seen a few impala today, otherwise I think everything is pretty much in hiding, waiting for another very steamy day. To coax something out before the end of the drive. So Buffelshoek is our last bit of rainwater, I suppose. We do have a pumped pan at the dam, which you guys can watch on the Djuma Dam cam. But Buffelshoek Dam is the last little bit of kind of natural water. Well, it's not that natural, there's a dam there, but it's not pumped. And it's turning quite fast, exponentially faster as the days go on, into a bit of a mud wallow. And when that dries, I think the is going to be a fairly barren, particular part of the reserve. We'll be spending a lot more time on Arathusa around the water there. But who knows, we might be lucky. Young Mvula might be around. Even the birds are quite subdued this morning. There hasn't been much of a dawn chorus. They're all still panting away. And I saw an impala this morning, a young female, well, not a young female, an adult female, but looking very, very pregnant, so very swollen, and I don't think it's long now. I don't think it's long now before the little lambs start to pop out. It should be about 2 weeks till the lambs pop out, first ones. Middle to end of November, so maybe a little bit more than 2 weeks. Very, very exciting time of the year. Especially when the storms that build over Drakensberg actually reach us. So we'll just get to the dam and then we'll stop and we'll have a listen to what's going on, because there's not a huge amount to see at the moment. But to listen, there's always something to listen to, always something to smell. Here the crested francolin. Oh, there's a saddle-billed stork there. Lots of hippopotamus, a woolly-necked stork, many woolly-necked storks. We'll get up to them now. I just don't want to frighten those other storks off. They've recently been taking flight as soon as they see the vehicles. So I'm going to move very slowly up towards them. You can see, and the hippo is now coming out of the water. Bizarre behavior. They've taken fright at us completely. What a spoonbill! It's all happening here. So on the left we've got the saddle-billed storks. Sorry about that, Jean-Andre. Then moving steadily to the right, we've got the hippopotamus, which has taken fright at us. He's limping quite badly. Oh, so we know him. We saw him at the Djuma camera a little while back at the Djuma Dam, walking over there. I think that limp looks a bit better, but it's certainly not very good. You do not want to come across him on foot. The hippopotamus that is not in the water and is limping and feeling threatened will be very, irritated if you come across him on foot. Very unusual for him to have got out of the water because we came along here. And then you've got a whole lot of woolly-necked storks. Now the woolly-necked stork is a migratory species. It doesn't live here. It comes over for the summertime, and I just want to check if they breed here or not. I suspect that they do not. I'm just going to quickly check for you. And they will all, as this water dries out, they will be loving the sort of food boon. But it does come with it a bit of a caveat in that, because the water, yes, of course they're eating a lot now because the water's drying up, but this food resource will be eaten up pretty soon, and if it doesn't rain properly, all that will be left here, as has been the case in all the other waterholes, will be enormous catfish, and they will be inedible to the likes of those storks. Yes, they do breed here, especially in Namibia and Botswana. Now we're sitting here at the water talking about fish, and Andre in Florida. You want to know if I ever go fishing. Andre, there are a few things in life that I'm really bad at. Well, no, there are quite a few, but you can easily draw a top 10 list. Top of that list is drawing things. I'm really bad at that. And somewhere probably around 3rd or 5th in the list is fishing. I've never had an interest in it, to be honest. So I don't have a huge knowledge of fishing, and so I don't fish here. Brent Leo Smith is an avid fisherman. For me, I'm afraid fishing has never been a huge thing. Can you see the spoonbill there? No, he's right behind the tree. We'll just see if we can't. And with the heron, yes. Beautiful spoonbill. Look at that. Just sweeping from side to side. And you can see why he's called a spoonbill, because his bill looks like a spoon. Well done. There were a few of them here in May, these spoonbills, but I think they're quite nomadic, so they don't necessarily live in one place at all. Nice breeze blowing up, thankfully. You can hear the red-billed buffalo weavers going as they build their nests. But otherwise, these water birds are having an absolute field day here. Yep, caught something. And that I don't have to walk around all day with my face in that slimy green muck, I must say. Right. I don't see Mvula lurking anywhere around here in the shade, in the not shade anywhere actually, so I think we'll probably press on. What we'll do is drive down sort of towards a road called Nyala Road and see if we can't see his tracks coming out there. Brent thought he might pop out there. He drove down there last night, but he didn't see any further sign of the recalcitrant young male leopard. Well, he's not that young. Lovely little scene here. I mean, it'd be a very good place to set up with a cup of coffee and see what came down. Now, to see a hippo leaving the water at this time of the day, especially when it's going to be so hot, Gilly in Wisconsin, you're absolutely correct, it's very unusual. I think it's because he's feeling very nervous, possibly by the vehicle. I think he'll probably come back here fairly soon. And Raggedy Ann, I don't know if it's the one with the gash on his right hand side, but I think it probably is. Get a look at there was on that one with the gash on his right hand side. So we'll just have a look at these beautiful nyala here, very peacefully browsing through the bush. Oh, let's go quickly across to a very exciting sighting with Jamie. See you just now.
Well, welcome back, and as you can see, we have found a leopard tortoise, but there's also two other leopards just off to our left. Hello, you two. Have you been busy all night? Poor old Tingana is looking absolutely exhausted. He's also got a very, very full belly, and the reason I found them was actually because I was attracted to the smell of something in the drainage line, and there's a buffalo carcass down there. It's in some very, very thick bush, but I think that these two have been alternating between their activities with each other and then feeding on the buffalo. You find that with leopards, they're not too fussy. But hello, gorgeous girl, look who it is. Our queen herself, looking a little bit battle-scarred on the back of her neck. I think we all know that it's not the gentlest of processes, but they're due for their next session in the next few minutes. That's also how I found them, was leopard mating is quite a noisy affair. It wasn't too difficult to follow the sounds. Luckily for us, there is that buffalo close to Red Dam, so we had a perfect place to start in terms of finding them. And we've got the sighting all to ourselves. What's up, big boy? You're struggling a little bit. And I can imagine that the heat doesn't make things that much easier either. And it's going to be interesting to see what comes of this with Karula. I'm not sure how many days she has been mating, but she's going to be finishing up fairly soon and moving back towards Djuma. And then Shadow's been mating with Tingana, and so is Kwatile. And whilst I'm sure that they've been sneaking in other mating sessions with leopards that we haven't seen, or males that we haven't seen, it does seem as though Tingana is going to be fathering quite a few cubs over the next few months, or at least think he is. And I should hope he is, after all the work he's put in. I feel like he deserves to be able to pass on his genetic looks. And he is such a stunning leopard. Look at that neck. He's basically head and shoulders.
And belly.
And belly right now. I think Vim's got a very good point. And belly. Must be quite an effort with a belly like that. Here we go. I'm going to be quiet so you can hear the sounds. Oh, poor Tingana. He doesn't want to. Oh, she's making her work for it. Oh, there we go. Oh. Hey, girl. Now, for those of you who might be joining us for the first time and unfamiliar with leopard mating processes, that might have looked fairly terrifying and very not like a gentle act. And that's because it's not, especially at this point for poor old Tingana, as well as Karula. His penis is barbed. So when he withdraws from her, it hurts her. That's why he grabs the back of her neck to stop her from swatting him until he's finished. And then what happened there was a little bit of increased aggression because I think his claw got hooked in her as they were trying to separate, because usually they bat each other and then separate. But I think they got stuck together a little bit. But she certainly made him work for that particular session. And there's no leopard that knows, or there's no creature that knows how to do a seduction dance quite like a female leopard. Hey, beautiful girl. But you've put yourself right behind a guarri bush now. It's very inconsiderate of you. I'm going to start timing now from that mating session to see how frequent they are. They usually slow down towards the end, and I want to get a rough idea of how much longer we've got left with them. But let me try and reposition, since she has placed her head directly behind a guarri bush. But how exciting is this? I mean, how spoiled have we all been over the last few weeks that we've been treated to so many different viewings. 3 different females mating with Tingana, Shadow twice, Karula twice, Kotile once. But it's just a little bit rude. It's not very considerate to the leopards. Oh, she's so beautiful. And so hot and exhausted and full of food. A beautiful girl. Now, if this is successful, and I will be very impressed with Tingana if it is, but if it is successful, we've got another 3 months to wait until Karula disappears off into the drainage lines. Not that she doesn't do that always, but to go and hide her cubs away in a nice rocky area of a drainage line or hidden away in some really thick bush. Now, apparently I've been told by the viewers that she really likes to be around the lodge area, around Vuyatela. Definitely an exciting time for us all. And I must actually read into what the success rates are in terms of mating, because clearly her previous attempt wasn't successful, because she's mating again. And the same goes for Shadow. But it's so nice to see. Now, one thing that we do is, of course, we call these sightings in to share them with other guides. Now, there will be others arriving fairly soon. I have called it in, just because I know that, you know, there's plenty of guests who really want to share in this experience. So there are other guides on their way. They'll be here in the next 10 or so minutes. But for now, we've got this exciting sighting all to ourselves, and that is such a treat. They will be here, and I'll chat to the guides then and see who else is arriving. At some point we may have to pull out of the sighting to give people a chance, because it's limited to 3 vehicles only. But they are on their way. I'm very curious about that buffalo carcass as well, and how it died down there. If it was lions, why did they abandon it? But I think it's definitely a treat for these 2 leopards. It means they don't have to move too far and they can focus on other things apart from hunting. A combination of gluttony and other things at Red Dam. See him panting furiously. Now he's obviously stuffed himself full. And Auntie Lynn, you want to know how far we are from the buffalo? Probably about 70 meters or so from where I first saw it. And it was such a blessing in disguise, because I smelt it, stopped, and because I'd stopped, I'd heard them. And in terms of hyena activity, I haven't seen any yet. It wouldn't surprise me if they are around. But I didn't see any when I went to go investigate the buffalo in the drainage line. There's a fruit chafer in my shoe, which I'm just going to try and dislodge. There we go. Now in the next few minutes, probably in the next minute or 2, we're going to see them initiate that mating dance again. And Linda, who's watching in Ontario, you'll be astounded by the number of sessions that they go through. I'm trying to calculate what it would be. It's easily between probably around 5 sessions an hour for 5 days, 5 to 7 days. So what does that mean? It's 5 an hour times 24. Oh, my maths isn't what it should be, but that's about 120 times by 5. That's close to roughly 700 sessions per mating experience for these leopards. It's quite an intense process, and you can just imagine the energy levels required to maintain that, especially on poor old Tingana's part, because he has not been left alone by the ladies. But with a face like that, you can understand why. Now the reason it needs to... hello, boy. Oh, he's got a bit of a limp. You're basically on top of the car there. Where are you going? I wonder if he's going to the buffalo. Or just desperately trying to escape. Where is he going? Now, she's not going to let him get too far away. I think he might just be moving to find a different place to settle down. Oh, he was just moving to go and find a place to defecate. We must return here at some point with a vial, so we can collect that particular sample, since we do know. There goes Karula. Beautiful girl. I wonder where they're off to. They seem to be heading in the direction of that buffalo kill, but they could also be going to Red Dam for water. And at the same time, not only does Tingana have to maintain the standards set by the ladies, but he also needs to mark his territory. Can't get too lax on that, right? Let's go. Better to stay with them. Louise, as we head around here to follow them, you want to know which property we're on and where we are. We're close to Red Dam, which is on Arathusa. It's in the sort of northern section of Arathusa. I mentioned that I saw Tingana limping. This is Karula. She's following behind him. And Angie, you were wondering if I could see an injury on Tingana's back left leg, or back leg. I haven't seen one. I only just noticed the limp now. I didn't realize it's something that you have been seeing for the last few days. But we'll keep an eye out for that and see what's happening. I don't think it's too serious. It could just be something acquired during a hunting, or a thorn that got into the wrong place, or possibly even an injury induced by Karula in response to his vigorous attentions. And I haven't quite got around to why it is. I think they are going to that buffalo. I haven't quite got around to why it is they need to mate so frequently. But I will get back to that in a moment. I just want to concentrate on where they're going. They're going to the dam. Alright, let's go this way. Sorry, Liam. We're repositioning. They're going to go have a drink. Right, so the frequency of the mating is quite an interesting explanation. It's something we see in all of the big cats. And it's sort of nature's way of making sure that the actual fertilization happens when the best male for the job is on the case. And I'll explain what I mean in a moment. But essentially the female does not properly ovulate, although she's in estrus, until she's had a couple of days worth of stimulation from that spiny penis. I'm just going to guide one of the other guides in. Just want to hop onto the Game Drive channel. Bear with me for a moment. Yeah, stations, these Ingwe have just gone mobile into the drainage line. Looks like they're mobile towards the dam. Got him. Cool. There we go. Stopping to have a quick drink. Is directly to the east of us. There we go, Karula drinking on the right, Tingana making his way slowly with that limp. I think it's his front paw. I think it's his right front paw. And that could even be where they got hooked together. Might have made things worse. How's it? How are you? Good, thank you. Cheers. Morning. Yeah, he's definitely limping a little bit. It's his right front. It is his right front. And that was the paw that got stuck when they were in their last mating process that we just witnessed. Now, I'm not sure if that's because there was already an injury, because as one of the viewers pointed out, he has been seen limping before, or it's some other reason. Happy boy. Shame, you're looking a little bit exhausted. And for new viewers, you can see how incredibly comfortable these animals are with the vehicle. He is less than 2 meters from us, and he chose to come to us. You can see there's not much in the way of affection. It's not as though they're drinking together and staying glued together. And there's that iconic leopard tail. Karula lapping away at the somewhat aptly named Red Dam, because Red Dam at the moment is actually quite green. I'm not going to reposition at the moment because he is so close to my wheel that I really don't want to disturb him. Especially since he definitely doesn't need to be expending any more energy. I was talking about the process of mating and why it has to happen so frequently. Oh, he's gorgeous. And I might be imagining it, but he almost has a slightly exhausted look in his eye. So that whole process has evolved so that the females can mate with multiple males, and they delay ovulating ever so slightly so that by the time they're mating with the final male, he's the one with the strongest genes to pass on. He's trying to get to a nice place without getting his feet wet and without sliding in. He doesn't want to go too much into the mud. Very fastidious. walking back into the shade to where Karula is. It's actually it is quite a limp. He's not putting much weight. That definitely didn't come from that mating session where his claw got stuck. He's very much favouring that leg. He doesn't even want to put weight on it. But do not fear, they're far more resilient than a human being is in terms of these injuries. I've seen lionesses survive and heal from broken legs that touched the ground and flopped under their weight. So a little injury like this, whatever it is, whether it's a sprained tendon or a sore claw or maybe a thorn, will definitely heal. And even if it means he has to stick to slightly smaller prey for a while, he'll be absolutely fine. And luckily he's got the company of a lady to tend to him, or at the very least to keep him distracted. It's been interesting to watch the way he circled around the dam to drink at different spots, trying to find the perfect one. There he goes again. And obviously exhausted from a combination of a very full belly and keeping Karula occupied all evening. There you can see how reluctant he is to put that paw down. And the way he's doing that almost makes me think, because he's resting the weight on the side of it, makes me think there might be a thorn or an injury to the bottom of the pad, on the inside of the pad. I absolutely do not think there is a creature, at least in this African bush, that is as iconically beautiful as the leopard. There is something so incredible about them. And Tingana is positively awe-inspiring. That dewlap of his on the front of his neck, massively powerful neck muscles. And he would be easily capable of dragging 60 to 70 to 80 kilograms of meat up into a tree by his mouth and by his claws alone. How incredible is that? As it happens, I haven't seen Tingana in a very, very long time. Not since I first saw him being courted by Kwatile, I think it was. And Sandy, who's one of our regular viewers and watching from North Dakota, tells me that there was a fresh injury on the top of Tingana's paw when he was mating with Kwatile, and possibly seen when he was mating with Shadow. And it could be something that's opened up again. How's that? 2 leopards at a dam. The most peaceful thing in the world. Anyway, thank you for that, Sandy. I didn't know that, but we'll definitely know to be keeping an eye out for that in future. Still don't think it's something to be too concerned about, but it's obviously stayed open because it is his right front paw. Be interesting to see if anybody's ever done studies as to whether leopards have a dominant paw that they use more frequently. They must do, to bat at things and to bring things down, and whether that paw gets injured more frequently or whether this is the same injury. Every now and again he gets distracted by the dragonflies zooming past his head. tail twitching away. And I'm sure so many of you with your domestic cats at home would have seen them drink exactly like this. There's just a subtle difference in size. Leopards are not as water dependent as other animals, but if there is water available, then they will drink regularly if they can. Particularly in an area like this one where there's almost always water available. What's up, boy? They're definitely slowing down. I'm not sure if that's because they wanted to stop and have a drink, but she hasn't attempted any seduction of him in the last 20 minutes. Look at that neck. Can't see. Maybe it is a little bit swollen. Oh, beautiful. Now, we are watching the most incredible imagery. We really are spoilt in what we see, and I know that lots and lots of you have been taking the most beautiful screen grabs of what you're seeing on your screens. And a big thank you to all of you. Please share them with us. There's nothing that we love to see more than the beautiful images that we can bring to you all. And for those of you joining us for the first time, this is a live safari, so this is happening in real time right here. In this particular instance, Arathusa Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands. And she's not going to let him out of her sight. Be interesting to know what she's thinking. Her body's urging her to follow after him. But leopards are solitary by nature. She might be tempted just to let him leave, but I don't think she's going to. I think she's going to trail along in his footsteps. He's also very full-bellied. Look at that round belly. Sometimes I get so distracted by how breathtakingly live they are that I actually forget that I'm talking to you all and sharing this with everybody. Just look at that. Now I am going to let the other vehicles move slightly ahead of me just because we have spent the most time with them and they're waiting to see a mating session. But we'll stick with them as well. Never fear, we will stay with him. We just have to show, sorry Viam, a little bit of courtesy to the other vehicles. How cool is that? Leopards drinking at the dam. How many other vehicles are responding?
Not sure, maybe one or two, not many.
Okay, cool. Go ahead if you want.
We won't stay long.
Yeah.
Stay longer if you want.
Cool, thank you. I'll just go ahead for now.
Yeah.
Just going to let them go ahead so that we can have as much time as possible with these two. I don't think they're going to go too far. I think they're going to go settle in the shade. Not with a full belly like that. full, you've been paying attention not only to the glorious imagery of what we're seeing, but also to the fact that there are birds calling. And you were wondering about the constant trill of the bird in the background. I have to be honest, I wasn't paying as close attention as I should be. But the answer is probably a crested barbet. They're the ones that have that very distinctive trill sound. There's also a Sterling's wren warbler calling. We still got her? There we go. We're not going to have the best image for now, the best view for now. There, she's initiating. Trying to seduce him. And succeeding. Okay, so it was once every 10 minutes, it's now once every 20 minutes, but that could have been because of the distraction of going to go and have a drink. And do not fear, we will get plenty of opportunities to view them, because it sounds as though from just chatting to one of the Simbabili guides, we will pretty much have the sighting to ourselves fairly soon. I mentioned before I wondered about studies that had been done into being left or right pawed, as it were. And I'm just going to shift forward ever so slightly, take my foot off the brake before my leg goes into cramp. Now JJ Mo sent through some really interesting information. So not much out there in terms of big cats being left or right pawed, but there is interesting studies into domestic cats. And now I just have to try and remember which way around this was. There was 40% being left pawed, 50% right pawed, and 10% ambidextrous. So we could possibly suppose that although the numbers might not be exactly the same, there might be an even split. There might be something really similar. Oh, there's an elephant. Hello. Hello, elephant. You were a surprise. Well spotted, VM. Oh, this could be very interesting. Now, elephants chase leopards. They do. This one has smelt them. It might have been the elephant I heard earlier. I did hear one call. And he is going to go directly down into that drainage line. Oh boy. Sorry, he is right behind us, so I'm going to split my attention between leopards, you guys, and the elephant. The leopards are just there. We're probably about 30 meters away. What are you planning, mister? Don't chase my leopards away, please. Hey boy. Hey boy. Where are you going? What you going to do? Oh, okay. He smelt them, but I don't think he knows exactly where they are. I don't know. Now for the leopards, he doesn't pose any kind of serious threat. They are looking completely relaxed. They'll know that he's here, but they're not too bothered about it. So he's not a threat to them in any way. They're far too fast and agile. Even Tingana with his injured paw, it would not be a struggle for him to get away. Here we go. Where are you going, boy? He's got his head up. He's not a stressed elephant, but he's definitely on alert. He's obviously smelt them, and he's smelt the buffalo carcass. He's going straight down the road towards the other vehicles, not towards the leopards. And I think he's going to disappear. He's not going to go in there and chase them. Which is good news for us, because their response would just be to go straight into a thick bush and not come out. Unless they decided to climb a tree. Totally unconcerned. Okay, let me try and shuffle forward, and I don't think the view is going to be better from further ahead because there are two vehicles there, but I can shuffle forward and try and see. Also want to be careful of not disturbing the elephant too much. But let's go see if we can get a better view of these two. They're relaxed for now. It's probably going to be another few minutes until they continue with their occupation. Going to, I don't think, get a better view. Let me try. Shall I go? Do we want to see Karula? Let's look at Karula. We spent quite a bit of time with Tingana, so let me see if I can get Karula into a better place. Not really. She's a bit sort of hidden. We might just have to wait our turn to get into the best spot. Sorry, I've got to take my foot break. Forgot to do that. Flat out exhausted. And I don't think they're going to be up to too much over the next few moments. Next few minutes they're going to be quite happily resting in the shade there. He's up. Let's go forward. This does put him at a difficult angle, but he's got it perfectly. Moving off further into the drainage line. Tingana's disappearing off into this drainage line. Karula's going to follow very soon, but before we relocate ourselves, Joanne wanted to know what warbler I was hearing. I heard a Sterling's wren warbler that was calling. Here comes Karula. That question comes to us all the way from Arizona. Oh, it's a very thick drainage line they're going into. Look at her face. Just following behind at a comfortable distance. Okay, let us get going and try and stay with them. We are going into a very thick drainage line with a lot of tambuerti trees. And for new viewers, we are quite comfortable driving over certain saplings and certain trees. Might need to block on. Tambuertes are one of the ones to be avoided. They are ecologically very important, and they're always around these drainage lines in quite thick clumps, and they play a vital role in stopping serious soil erosion. I'm just going to shift out of the way to let the new arrival go ahead of us. And while I do that, we saw Tingana defecating earlier. And Donna Wan, you would like to know if dung beetles will also process the dung or the scat of predators. Have you got them there? Yeah. Okay. Just shifting so that the other vehicle can get through and get them that way. Oh. You gone, you out. Finish up. Cheers. I just heard them mating. So they're still at it. Oh, we seem to have quite a few vehicles all of a sudden. Just shift forward so we can see. I can see spots. We're just going to let the other vehicles go through and also have a moment with them. But yes, dung beetles do process predator scat. I think they probably prefer herbivore dung, just in terms of size and quantity and access. But that is why they play such a vital ecological role out here, because predator scat is full of all kinds of nasty things that dung beetles are capable of processing. I'm going to shift forward to see if I can get a better view for you all. But as I said, we've got to do it very carefully. Poke my nose in here. Can see them, but it's thick in here. We can do it though, hey Vian. Making sure not to drive over any tambuertes, but also not do any damage to the camera. Got it? Well done, Vian. Sure. Okay, this isn't quite the view I was hoping for us to get. We can see a little bit of her face. And I'll just deal with one more question before I try and reposition. So Ashley, you were wondering, do leopards mate with other big cats or only leopards? And the answer is they can interbreed with other cats of the Panthera genre, but it doesn't happen in the wild. You don't really get hybrids as far as I know. If you do, it's an incredible fluke. And in terms of males killing cubs, yes, they will kill cubs of females that they don't think they've mated with and therefore are not the father of. So it does happen. In fact, probably 50% of all leopard cubs that are killed in their first year of life will be killed by a male leopard who is not their father or hasn't been mating with their mother. Now this is as good a view as we're going to get, and unfortunately we're also blocking the view of another safari vehicle. So now let's head across to James, who has found an elephant herd to show you. So let's head across to him for now, and I'll be back with you a little bit later.
Well, eventually, Chandra and I managed to find a herd of elephants. Very lovely to see them here. We did have tracks of Mvula, but we've yet to come up with them, but that doesn't really matter, given that you've been watching a magnificent scene of Karula with her consort Tingana. We've just come across these fellows, and they're eating gently through the woodland. I must say the temperature has gone from pretty hot to volcanic. It's now only probably about 6:45 in the morning, and I think we're sitting at about 32 or 33 degrees already. So pretty hot. 90 degrees Fahrenheit by 7 o'clock in the morning is pretty hot going. The elephants and all the animals will be spending as much time as they can in the shade and around water and around mud as well. These chaps are pretty close to us. Probably only about, I'd say 10 meters or so, 30 feet. And they're heading slowly. They're both sides of the road, and they seem to be heading slowly down towards the thick tree-lined areas along the dry riverbeds. There's an injury on the trunk that you're looking at now, a pink patch or a blister. I can't see it on the very tip. Henri, can we have a look at the very tip? I can't see it there. Do you see anything, Jean-Bert? We'll keep looking there. I imagine that the youngsters like that will probably injure their trunks relatively regularly at this time of the, well, not this time of the year, any time, because they will, of course, Jean-Bert, it doesn't astound me that this vehicle, despite the fact that we are parked on a 90-degree slope, will not roll back. Oh, the big vicious elephant. Hello. Isn't he sweet? And he's been eating those blue flowers that you can maybe see there called Commelina. Keep going, shall I, Jean-Bert?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've all experienced that feeling of, a really hot summer's day and the kind of atmosphere that it just listening, sorry. The kind of atmosphere that it creates, and there is definitely a feeling that the insects are thoroughly enjoying the heat. There's a huge number of cicadas out, but the rest of the mammals are all heading for the deep shade early on, and there's a sense of a real kind of not oppression, but that kind of feeling where the energy levels are just sapped by the amount of heat that there is. And it's a lovely, well, it's an interesting feeling, especially around about this time of year when the expectation for rain is so huge. This is the mother of that youngster, still struggling a little bit with her conditioning. You can see she's got her hips sticking out and her shoulders also sticking out a bit. And I think that they will be looking forward to the time when they can eat some more grass. She's just picking at a relatively decent sized grass stalk. The grass is where they're going to get the majority of their nutrition at this time of year, and they'll be looking forward to that. sure you can hear the cicadas going all around us. The odd ringneck dove, and like I said, the dawn chorus has been so much quieter this morning. Now, these elephants are walking along, having a bit of a meal. That's a huge car that John Ray's filming there. I think it's a pretty big girl, that. And Deb, you want to know if they always walk and eat, or if sometimes they just go towards a certain area, or perhaps they stop and feed in certain areas. Deb, what they generally tend to do, I'm going to try and ease back a bit. What they generally do is, yes, they do walk and eat, but when they decide that they're going to water, when it's time for a drink, they stop eating and they absolutely just go straight for the water, and they don't stop to eat anymore. And that normally happens, the matriarch gives a command, and then they just head off straight to the water and they don't stop to eat anymore. And then sometimes, especially if there's a food source like marula fruits nearby, this little elephant is now only about 3 meters from us. He's right behind the bush. There he is. Right here. So Deb, if they're eating marula fruits or something like that around a fruiting tree, they won't move. They'll stop in one place for quite a while. Now he's playing with us as well. He's enjoying just kind of the entertainment of a day that's normally spent having to stuff his face with as much vegetation as he possibly can, which I think must be a fairly tiring exercise. And so selective even at this age. Hi. Hi, little chap. So sweet. You can see the mud all over his face. That'll be from yesterday, when they would have gone near the mud and tried to use the mud to cool down a bit. We'll try and ease back again. It'd be worth spending some time with these elephants. They seem to be extremely confiding. Very happy to just let us be close by for now. Don't want to block them from crossing the road. What I'll do, come on then, go on. Go on. She's just trying to get across the road behind us. I'll quickly get behind, in between them, so that they'll walk past us in the front. Amazing. We are now, I mean, those ones in front of me there. So we stop here so that they don't walk past us again. Maybe they can go around the front. And they're right so close by here, only about 3 meters away. What? Oh, sorry. Well, let's go across the leopards. They're apparently about to get a. Well, never mind. Back to the leopards.
And just to keep you updated on our position of the leopards. Oh, I forgot I was wearing red sunglasses. They are still in there. They've just mated again. We can hear them. But in terms of maneuvering and visibility, it's pretty much impossible to see them. I'm going to try shuffle forward so that we can get a visual, but I don't think we're going to. I'm not sure. They might have moved after that last mating session. Let's see. They're lying right up in that thick stuff. And I think making up for lost time. Mating sort of once every 15 minutes or so. Yeah, they're still there. They're in an even worse position now. it is very, very dense in there. I think short of a miracle in terms of placement. Let me try here. Hello, bush. Still got to be careful of the tambuti. I don't even know where they've gone. Can you see them? Have they moved? Yeah. Okay, let's try reposition. Sorry, watch out. Watch it! And whilst I try and find these leopards once again, let's head back across to James and his elephants, and I'll catch up with you very shortly.
We're just turning round, everybody. Instead of reversing and reversing and reversing, better idea to turn around so that we don't keep reversing into them. And we had the little one again so close by to us. Just wonderful. Sorry, there are so many trees. It's not easy to turn around here. Thankfully in the Land Rover. There we go. Alright, now we can ease gently down the road with them as opposed to reversing the whole time. Marvellous. They are such a relaxed herd of elephants, it's just very special. Okay. Well, that cow's watching us there. So we'll just ease down the road. So they're very aware of us all the time, keeping an eye, and so what we want to do is maintain this level of trust where they've been able to just enjoy us and we've been able to enjoy them. The youngster's been having a bit of fun playing with us. And Jean-Andre was just mentioning while you were watching the leopards that some of them are streaming from their temporal glands. Now the one that's just walked across the road is an example of that. The temporal gland is a little gland between the eye and the ear on the same parallel line. Oh, sorry, there's more mating going on with the leopards. Let's go across to them. We'll stay with the elephants. They really don't seem to be able to get enough of each other, those leopards. See you just now.
Just negotiating some tricky sand here. We may never get out again, but we've made it. And we've found them once again. I'm going to stop here